Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Jarrell Mason, aka Jay Mason. Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Album Cover, where we get inside the entertainment industry and more with those in the know and give them their flowers while they're here to be celebrated. With me right now, I have my good friend, no stranger to the podcast. He was just recently on, and I got to have him back on again. My boy Greg from the Four Man Rush. Greg, what's going on, bro?
Yeah, what's up, man? How you doing, man? It's good to be back on. Thanks for having me.
Man, it's been great, man. And let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Breaking news today. We're recording this podcast on May 8th, the day before rookie minicamp in Charlotte. The Panthers just cut Jadeveon Clowney along with other roster moves, given the moves that they made in the recent draft. We're about 2 weeks past the draft, so we're going to analyze that. So, first off, what's your thoughts on Carolina cutting Clowney?
Man, I saw it coming, and we're actually going to talk about this very momentarily. The draft had a lot to do with that. As I spoke to it, we were definitely looking for some more edges to add to the team. Jadavian's getting up there in age. He's been in the league for a very long time now, so they're looking to have a youth movement. And as soon as I saw what happened in the draft, I was just like, yeah, his time might be up. So, and there you go, it didn't happen. So, I thank him
Mm-hmm.
for the time that he spent there. He did some pretty good things for us, but as you know, all good things come to an end. Getting up there in age, they want to get some youth in there, get a little faster, stronger, bigger. That's what it's all
Mm-hmm.
about.
Yeah, so I'm sure the Turk was probably standing by when those picks was made, getting ready to hit him with the, hey, coach want to see you.
Yep, that's exactly what happened, man. So just man, I hope for wherever he goes next, man, if he goes back to Baltimore or he'd be a good vet, man. And so some things could have worked out. Well, you probably could have kept him. He could have been a nice little mentor or something like that. But obviously, these young gentlemen that they got, they think that they can start right away, which I do agree. Like I said, we'll get into that, but it is what it is, man. It's part of the
Hmm.
game. It's business. It's never personal.
Yeah, just like how Rico told Ace Boogie and paid in full. Cats get shot every day, B. In the NFL, cats get cut every day, B. Eating some potato chips and hit them with the Dougie. If you know, you know. All right, so we're gonna go into music real quick, then back into football. So the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame just announced their 2025 inductee class, and most prominently, Outkast is going in, and then also Salt and Pepper going in under the musical excellence category. So your take on these two hip hop luminaries getting the call going into Cleveland to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Man, it was only a matter of time. Of course, Outkast, me being from the South, us being from the South, man, they were a big part of, Southern culture. They sold millions of records together. They've done some great things, man. Big Boy and Andre 3000, great lyricists, man. Hey, they've just done so many great things, man. And it was only a matter of time for it to happen. Salt and Pepper, man. I didn't listen to them too much. I'm not gonna lie, man. But what they did in hip hop, being women and being pioneers of that movement, man, they're definitely very deserving of it. You can't take that away from them for sure.
Right, Salt and Pepper, the female equivalent to Run DMC for what they did for rap for women, but it also should be noted that the late Angie Stone was a part of the female rap group Sequence, who was signed to Sugar Hill Records, did Funk You Right On Up. Then she parlayed that into Vertical Hole and then her solo career, and of course her being from Columbia, South Carolina.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think more people need to talk about that. She was a little hurt about that she didn't get too much recognition as far as being a hip hop artist, man. Obviously, we all know her as a great singer, R&B, soul, neo soul, but she definitely wanted her flowers as being in the hip hop industry as well. And I think she deserves that. She deserves
Yeah.
that much.
Yeah, she definitely did. And then with Outkast, we just had the Met Gala a couple of days ago when Three Stacks came to the gala with a whole piano strapped to the back. But then it turned out he released another instrumental album, this time piano instrumentals.
Man, Three Strikes, he just having fun at this point, man. That's one thing that I really respect about him. I think that he's a little disappointed with where music is going right now. That's a whole different conversation for a different day. And when a lot of people paid attention to the piano, but they didn't pay attention to the trash bag that he was holding in one of his hands. And I pretty much see that as, hey, I'm being artistic. I have the piano, I'm playing the flute in these things, and let's escort the trash out of the music industry. That's how I saw it. I think that was kind of like a play on it. And I just love what he's doing, man. Do what you love, man. If you want to play the piano, you want to play the saxophone, the bass. I think that's one problem really in hip hop and urban music is that a lot of the fans they don't allow their these stars, to be artistic and be themselves and be able to, just, be creative. A
Mhm.
lot of other, genres as far as pop and rock and roll and all those other genres, they really appreciate their, the artist stepping out and trying something different. And I think that hip hop needs to, kind of be more appreciative of that. If they want to, play the piano or whatever it is, let them do it.
Yeah,
There's no
definitely.
problem with that at all.
Yeah, definitely embrace being experimental because you're not the same person you was when you first put out Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music or Quemini, Stankonia, Speaker Box, Love Below. You're allowed to be able to grow and to expand yourself. And I think because some fans can't differentiate, okay, he's not in the same space at this point in time when we first came to associate him. And now he's on a different wavelength to where he wants to play the flute, he wants to play the piano and be more experimental, and you got to get that emotional tie out. And I remember seeing on an episode of The Shop where he was on with LeBron, Maverick, some of the other guests, he was getting giving his state on current music and just how he really wanted to just expand himself. And if he don't want to rap on the record, he should not be forced to rap on the record because we as fans say, nah, we want that old three steps back. We got to be able to embrace the new path that he's going on, as well as hold dear to the stuff that we came to cherish and associate him and Big Boy with.
Yeah, exactly. Just like I said, if he wants to, do something different, let him do that. He's probably not coming back to the hip hop industry, y'all. Man, just it is what it is. Embrace it, embrace the new. I haven't listened to it yet, but I'm definitely going to tap in with that very soon. I'm a big fan of his, man. If he wants to jump on a remix or a feature every once in a while, let him do that, man. But the fans just got to be, stop being so fickle, man.
Yeah, definitely that. And then I just saw on CeeLo's social media page that I believe Goody Mob is going to end up calling it a day doing the last album and the last tour. So can we just talk about real quickly the importance of Goody Mob and how they, along with Outkast, kind of helped tie in that scene with the whole Dungeon family and how CeeLo was able to branch off from Goody Mob, going to Gnarls Barkley, put out his solo records, and of course the voice and everything after that.
Yeah, CeeLo, man. I remember the first time I saw him years ago, man, like the early 2000s, man. It's just, his whole style, his look, he was just different. And everybody in that crew, man, the whole Dungeon family. A lot of people don't know that actually Future was birthed from the Dungeon family as well, say. So you see his creativity, the melodies or whatnot. He was birthed from all of that. So they have a big movement. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with this last album, man. It's their victory lap, man. They deserve it. Been in the game for many years, man. They put on a lot of artists. So they deserve their flowers, and I'm glad they're doing it this way, so that way they can go from city to city or whatnot. And that last tour, much like Little Brother is doing, and they can get that appreciation that they deserve. That's what it's
Mm-hmm.
all about, man. It's call it a day, man. It is what it is. They have nothing else to prove.
Right. And I think now a lot of people are understanding, if they've not already, just how important and integral the Atlanta scene was to music and how it gave the industry really a whole shot in the arm and created a new location to where you don't have to go to New York. You don't have to go to LA. You can go down 85 to ATL and make it known for yourself, with SOS Band recording down there, Bobby Brown setting up shop down there with Boss Town Studios, which later became Stankonia. And then you had everything that exploded after that, Dungeon Family, So Def, JD, and of course Crisscross ABC, and just how all that really fed into everything that we see now coming out of Atlanta.
Man, it's just we can take it back to Freaknik, and that's really where they say that it really started, man. There's a lot of people, you watch that Freaknik documentary, man. They talk a lot about that, where a lot of artists from that area, that's where they got their start, and that's where they really took off in the early '90s. As far as LaFace Records, you had Usher, you had Tony Braxton, you had TLC. So I mean, that was really like the Motown of the South, in my opinion. Right there in Atlanta. So. Just
Mm-hmm.
so many of the different. I mean, you hear so many people. I actually saw a debate the other day. It's just like who would win between Atlanta and New York. So that's the conversation. That's really the regard that people put ATL at. What I'm saying they got Chris Ti, Gucci Mane, Young Jeezy, of course CeeLo, the Dungeon Family. So there's so many. It seems like every summer stuff from Atlanta, whether it's man, just every year somebody pops out, bro. Too
Yeah, yeah, it kind of
long.
reminds me of back in the days, man, when you would go to that flea market or hit up the hood barbershop, that man with the bag had like whatever was coming out of Atlanta, New York, LA, or whatever. They kept you supplied. And that was where pretty much some of us probably had that first discovery of Ludacris with the Incognito album before it got repackaged a couple years later nationally for back for the first time. And just how seeing the humble beginnings of Atlanta to where it's worldwide known, and also because of the 96 Olympics that put it on a international scale, because that's what kind of led to, if you have not seen the Freaknik documentary, everybody getting ushered out once Atlanta got awarded the 96 Olympics. They're like, oh, we got to clean up before 96 hits. And Atlanta's still reaping off of that. But one of the smart things that I come to discover when watching that documentary was they explained, some of the LaFace record reps was explaining that you got your target demo right here in Atlanta. You're stuck in wall to wall traffic, can't go nowhere. So what do? You and your street team go out, pass out the cassette samplers for Outkast, and then they ran the Sam Goody, Peaches, Tower, Blockbuster Music, Camelot, and certain local mom and pop record store here, and brought Silver Playalistic, and that's what kind of led to get the ball rolling for Outkast.
Yeah, yeah, it is, man. That's just, man. My sister lived there for a year, man. And when you talk about that wall to wall traffic, that's one thing she definitely doesn't miss, man. So she stayed there for a year. That was about enough for her. She ended up going to Charlotte, but man, it's just the run that Atlanta is having, man. I don't think that's. I mean, obviously New York, they started the game, whatnot, but Atlanta, man, there's no telling how long they're going to be on top. Like I said, it seems like every summer you have somebody new, man. Rich Homie Quan, he had his nice little run. You had Migos, they had their run. Young Thug, man, it's just he's out now, so. And he's going to be coming out with something real soon as well. So that's something else to talk about. But man, just the run that this city is having, there's no telling. They could be 20 years from now and they still popping out with people. They still could be on top. You got Memphis, you got Detroit, you got other cities, trying to, kind of, take the crown from them right now. But it's still, I think it's the number one city right now as far as hip hop and R&B, urban music in general.
Yeah, it's forever ATL. And if you go down the wrong street, if you see snow on the bluff,
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
oh yeah, yes, it's a beautiful city. I definitely wouldn't want to live there. It's a nice place to visit. That's as far as I'll keep it. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
visit.
yeah. I would have bet Cut Cousins probably went down the wrong way a couple of times when he first went to Atlanta. He probably went to Waffle House before 5 o'clock.
Oh, the way he was playing, man, he was definitely going some places he didn't have any business playing, man. So, oh man, big ups to Kirk Cousins, man. That was a little rough start for him in Atlanta, man. Just best of luck for him with whatever he's doing right now.
Yeah, but there's always FUBU. So let's transition to the draft. We're gonna start with the ops, work our way back up to the home team. Atlanta gave up a king's ransom because they ended up drafting Jalen Walker, who we were connected to all throughout the draft before we pulled the curveball in drafting Ted McMillan with the eighth pick. And then they also traded up to get James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee, who was originally a first round grade when coming out, possibly top five pick, but because of dip and play and character issues, his stock slipped. So, what do you make of Atlanta giving up what they did to go and get Pierce and Walker, and then with us drafting Tech at number 8 when everybody had us linked to Walker pretty much in all the mocks?
I mean, I see a lot of Atlanta fans, man. They're saying, "Oh man, we didn't give up too much, this, that, and the third." I think they did give a little too much, man. It's just obviously James Pierce. He was definitely had a first round grade. A lot of people were talking very highly of him. I know a lot of Carolina fans. They were actually being like, "Okay, we wouldn't mind having us James Pierce, Jalen Walker. Obviously, he was connected to us as well. I'm going to get into that. I'm not going to get into it right now, but I think it was just more of a situation where they need some edge rushers. And they definitely need some edge rushers, and they took some two good ones. And so I think they feel like they're in a position now that they're ready to win. And when I see them make a move like that, I feel like they think they're ready to win. They think they're ready to go to the playoffs and possibly get to the Super Bowl. I have my doubts about that, but that's just what they're thinking. So that's what it's all about. When you have a weakness on the team, they wanted to double dip, and they got two nice edge rushers right there that can get to the quarterback, and we'll see if it works out for them. It's just one of those things that if it doesn't work out, somebody could get fired. That's the type of situation it is because they did give up a lot. If it doesn't work out, man, they're going to find themselves in a very, very tough situation next year. So it was a big risk, man. Obviously, they are the ops, so I'm not wishing them the best of luck right here, but we'll definitely see what happens, man. But it is one of those situations that has to work out. But James Pierce, man, he's solid. He has had his troubles or whatnot, but he's one of those guys, man. If he does pan out, it can be dangerous, man. And the same with Jalen Walker. You know how I felt about him. I did think that there's a possibility. Obviously, there was a few reasons why that I will get into, but I wish him the best, man. If it works out, man, it's one of those things. If it works out, it's going to be beautiful. They definitely could, make a nice little push in the playoffs. But if it doesn't, they can be, oh man, it can be nasty. It can get nasty very fast.
Yeah, because everybody was looking at when we missed on Walker, and then to find out he went to the Falcons. Like now we got to play him twice a year. But I think with us drafting Tet at 8, that showed that Dan, Brant, and Dave listened to Bryce because came out after the pick that him and Bryce were low key throwing together out in Cali, and then Bryce went upstairs and said, "I want this guy." And then when you look at it, Canales finally has his Mike Evans prototype receiver here in Carolina. Ted's about 6'4", I think 215, 218, a couple pounds lighter than Mike Evans, but same height. And I think now with him going in as wide receiver 1, it could take some of the unnecessary pressure off of Leggett to be the number 1 guy where he can focus on being situational and more of the DK Metcalf of the wide receiver core. So how do you think Ted's addition will help the Carolina offense?
Man, I just think there's many reasons why they went in that direction to begin with. First and foremost, I think that even though they were kind of tied to Jalen Walker, I think there's only one defensive player in the top 10 that they felt was worth spending the 8th pick on, and that's Mason Graham, who was never going to drop the number 8 in the first place. So yeah, he's solid. Would have been a great addition alongside Derek Brown, but obviously he went somewhere else, man. So that's off the table. So I think his as far as his defense, obviously we had a terrible defense, but you look at Ted McMillan, he's somebody that I did say there was a possibility that was going to be the guy that we picked. I said between him, Tyler Warren, and Jalen Walker, those were the top 3 that I said, and we ended up going with Ted McMillan. So a lot of the fans, they were talking about defense. Hey, I'd be hey now, calm down. We might go offensive, because it's something that Bryce needs. He's still developing. And you were right when you did say that they have been working out, and from what I'm hearing, he pounded the table for Ted McMillan. That's what happened. So they may have went another direction, but from what I'm hearing behind the scenes, he wanted him. He really liked him, and when we did draft him, he was elated. So that's what you want. You really want to please your guy, man, that quarterback, man. Franchise quarterback, like I said, I'm putting it out there. I do think he's a franchise guy. So you look at what he's accomplished in college. I was reading a statistic just the other day where I think it was he was the top guy in the country for the last 2 years when it comes to 10+ yard targets. So that's something obviously that Bryce near the end of the season he got better with throwing 10+ yards down the field. Well, Ted, he was the last 2 years he was the best in the country with that. So obviously it's definitely going to help out. I think it definitely signaled the alarm that they don't think Xavier Leggett can be a number 1 guy. That's no offense to him. I love him. He's family. But I just don't think they believe he can be the number 1 guy. That doesn't mean that he can't be effective. I do think he's going to be some great things. And just like you said, they'll be able to use him in different ways as far as, end arounds and, in the red zone or whatnot. So, he's still going to make a big impact. And there's some other guys that they brought in as well. You got Hunter Renfrow. We'll get to that after a while as well. So that's a possibility right there. If he has anything left, man, y'all better watch out. I'm telling you, that's a dark horse right there. That's a serious dark horse.
Yeah.
Of course, you got AT, Adam Thielen. Yeah, that's another guy. So this is stacking up really nicely, man. You got Ted. He's going to be the number 1 guy. They found him after a few hits and misses. Ever since after DJ Moore, they haven't been able to find that number 1 guy. They've been swinging, but they've been missing. And I think you have a solid guy right now who can be that prototypical, big wide receiver. He has good speed, 4'4", 6'4" guy, big frame. So yeah, he is that guy, man. But that wide receiver room is really shaping up, and even my favorite pick in the draft was the last pick, and it's like I said, I rarely get excited about the last pick, but that wide receiver room is going to be crazy this year if it all
Ooh,
shapes out the way that it's supposed to. Man, man, Jimmy Horn, like I said, we're gonna get to him. I'm not gonna get into it right now, but he's somebody that I've been watching for the last few years now, and I was hoping that he'd fall to us, man. Man, oh man, yeah, it's shaping up very beautifully, man. For real.
yeah, yeah. Horn's gonna be a burner. Renfro, I think, was a sneaky good pickup. He was out of football for a year due to health, and now he's back on the mend. And he's a local kid because I believe he's from Myrtle Beach, I believe.
He is. He is. He's actually from Myrtle Beach, and as I've been following him ever since he was in high school. I went to Myrtle Beach High School. Obviously, I'm older than him, but he went to Socastee High School, and what a lot of people don't know is he was actually a quarterback in high school. He went to Clemson. He could have went to anywhere else in the country. He could have, went to Furman. He could have went to Wofford, wherever else. They could have played right away, but he chose to walk on at Clemson. There was no guarantees with that. He worked hard. He was diligent, man, and he worked his way up the ladder, man. He got his opportunity. Caught a touchdown pass in the championship game one year. So he's accomplished not went on to play for Oakland, had 1,000-yard season. I think about 2021 or something like that. He had like 1,000-yard season. So that's not too far removed right there. Obviously, he had his own health problems last year. I think they say he got back to 150, back to his high school weight. So he worked his way back up to about 189. I think he wants to get down to about 185, he said. So he's a local kid. He's got a good, he's a God-fearing man, a good dude. And I wish him the best of luck, man. Like I said, if he has anything left, he is going to be a problem. He's a superb route runner. He has great hands. He rarely drops the ball. So, those guys in that locker room, they better be on their game because this guy, he's not just coming here to play around. He's coming to take somebody's position. Adam Thielen, he's 34 years old now, so there's no telling where he's going to go next year. He's not talking about next year right now. He's not talking about it. That's where he's at. He could retire, and if he retires, man, that's eight. My man, he could slide right up in there and really make a name for himself.
Yeah, yeah. Renfro, he's coming for everything, and he's seeing food. You are food. And the thing about the draft is that Dan Morgan has been getting high remarks from pretty much all of the different services of post-draft grades, with the exception of a certain ESPN analyst who gave us a C, but everywhere else it's been A, B, and that's been the thing with the Panthers prior to Dan Morgan taking over as GM, president of football ops, is that they pretty much nailed the hit singles, which is like the first and second round of the draft, but the album cuts have been hit and miss. But what I felt Dan Morgan's been doing the past two drafts is been putting together a complete album where you're knocking out your hit singles to your first two rounds, then the album cuts are actually just as good as your hit singles being the later rounds of the draft.
Man, he's starting to really figure this general manager thing out. He really is. It's definitely the most solid draft that I've ever seen in recent memory with the Carolina Panthers. Like you said, PFF, they actually gave him an A+ for the draft, and there's only one of three teams in the league to get an A+. The other two teams were the Arizona Cardinals and the Dallas Cowboys. Those are only three teams that got A+ in the draft. DraftKings gave them a B. That's pretty solid for them. So there was not one pick in the draft that did not make sense. If you look from one all the way down, to the 8 picks that we had, every pick made sense. Down to the running back, Etienne, we'll get into him a little bit. Jimmy Horn, that pick made sense, man. A lot of people, they're slacking on special teams, man. Some of those guys were brought in for special teams. We haven't had a special teams touchdown since 2023. 2023. That's been the last time that we had a special teams touchdown. So for all the talk about offense and defense and whatnot, special teams needs just as much work. So you need that kind of help as well. I think he's already surpassed Fit, and I've been saying this since last year. And people are laughing, hey man, you need a little bit. No, he surpassed Fit already. There were some things that Fit did that just didn't make sense. I'm not the smartest man in the world, but it's just like some of the things he did. It's like, why are you doing that? There's nothing that he did in the off season or in the draft that did not make sense. I'm telling you. And this year right now, we talked about it. If Bryce can do it again and continue to elevate, there's no telling how far this team's going to go. The draft solidified that. When we talked last time, it was unclear really what we were going to do. We didn't know where we were going to go, and obviously we didn't know what the hell we were talking about as far as where the draft went down. And we saw what they did. They added some key pieces in other areas, man. And I haven't been this excited about a draft in a very long time.
Yeah, the fans are probably going to come out of seclusion because, like we kind of mentioned in the last episode, and now you have some excitement, some build up going into the season, and then they announced, along with the release of Clowney, that they officially put Brooks on the pup list. So he's going to be out all of 2025, which is a smart move since we got Chuba, we signed Rico Dowdle, and you also have Travis Etienne, who we drafted in the fourth round.
Yeah, he's solid, man. I think he does. The numbers really don't stand out that crazy with him. He had a few 700-yard seasons, 600-yard seasons, or whatnot. But he definitely adds balance. Obviously, he's not going to come in and play right away. He's going to be a special teams guy, obviously, and he'll be like a rotational guy. He'll be a good rotational guy. I think that's really where he's going to fit in. But his size, he's about 5'9", 200. He's low to the earth, so he's a prototypical running back as far as that's concerned. Not somebody that you want to get in front of. But he's going to be a nice change of pack for Rico Dotto and Super Hubbard. I think he's going to fit in right away. But as far as those other picks, man, and as far as Brooks, yeah, he was put on the PUP list. The one good thing about him is he's only 21 years old. I think a lot of people forget that he's still young. So obviously, I feel some type of way about it. Says I like him, and I think he can be great if he can get healthy. I would probably stay away from getting a player like that again that's coming off an ACL injury, but that's another story for a different day. We're not going to get into all of that, but like I said, he's 21 years old. He's actually younger than some of the guys that's coming in right now. I want to say Etienne is 21 as well. So you look at that. He's younger than some of the guys that came in. So if he can, let him sit, let him rest this year, we'll reevaluate him next year. But it's picking Etienne, it basically shows that they're committed to the run as well. And as soon as the first day that Dave came in, Dave Canales, he said that he was really committed to the run game. And a pick like this proves it. Some people think that we didn't need a running back or whatnot, but man, you never know. Rico Dotto gets hurt or Schuba gets hurt. You never know. That young man might have to step in a lot sooner than we all thought. So another great pick as well.
And a lot of people are thinking with the addition of Rico that the pair with Chuba, we could probably have a 1-2 punch that we haven't seen in the Carolina backfield since D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart, the days of double trouble. And they're still believed the only two teammates, running backs wise, in the league to rush for over, I think it was 1,100 yards in the season.
Remember that season. It was a beautiful season. Like I said, that's really what Carolina needs to get back to, man. Over the last several years, they haven't had an identity. We were ground and pound, and then we always stayed with a great defense with Thomas Davis, Julius Peppers, all those guys from the past. So we had an identity then, and I think that's really what Dan Morgan. Thank God he's a GM because he remembers those days when we did have an identity, when it was the defense and you had that running game, ground and pound. Yes, it's boring at times, but it's effective. And that's just what it is, man. We get back to that, we're gonna be in the game for real.
Yeah, I really think that we'll be back to being competitive in no time. We may mess around and pop out and show people, see what I did there. Kendrick Lamar was just in Charlotte this past weekend at BOA, performing on his tour with SZA and everything. But I think Carolina is set up to really make some noise, and X, he's winning on and off the field. Having the ladies swooning over his Kentucky Derby get up. Most of them want to come down to Mullins, find him a cornbread fed country man. And like we said, with Tech going in at wide receiver one, I think X is going to be the player to watch out this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's there's been some talk that obviously we knew about his wrist early on that he had wrist problems, that he was hurting with that, but he actually recently just got foot surgery as well, so he was dealing with a lot more than we really knew about early on. So maybe that had a lot to do with it, as far as his play or whatnot. It was decent rookie season, about 400 yards, receiving. So obviously I just don't think that the coaching staff, he was a little inconsistent with the pass catching or whatnot. I do think he will improve with that. He definitely needs to be spending as much time with AT as possible, Adam Thielen. So hopefully he does that. But he's a great kid, great personality. I want to see him win. You want to see people like that win, just like Bryce, the same way. He's a beautiful personality, good people, and you want to see him do well. And I think he will do that. He's a hard worker. He's harder on himself than anyone else is. That's one thing about him. He's been that way since South Carolina, playing with the Gamecocks. He has a down game or something like that. He's the first one on the field the next day to try to rectify that. So I wish him the best. I think he's going to fit in right well. Ted, like I said, he's the number one guy right there. But you got Coker too. A lot of people aren't talking about Coker, so that's another possibility. So he has some work to do. He can't afford to slip up because if he does, that's another person right there. Coker can slip right in there. He can find himself looking from the sidelines. I'm saying that his family, I'm saying cool dude, love him and all of that, man. But he has no time, to sit around and think this is a game because you got some guys, some hungry guys coming in right now that are ready to play, man.
Mm-hmm.
They hungry.
Yeah, they coming for that spot. And a little bit of fun fact with Bryce and Tet or T Mac, he made it known that he wants to go by T Mac as his nickname. So Bryce and T Mac's high schools were rivals. T Mac played at Servite High School out of Anaheim, and of course Bryce went to Mater Day. And I'm not sure if they both crossed paths when they were both at their respective high schools. And of course, Tet went to Arizona, Bryce went to Alabama. And I think the Cali to Cali connection is going to be really nice for us this season.
I mean, that's what you want to see. You want to see that relationship early on between the two, man. They're vibing with each other. They kind of got, a little history right there. So that's definitely want to see. I mean, it's at a point where if Bryce wants it, you need to get it for him, man. He's coming on year 3 right now. It's going to be a major year for him. So, like I said, man, he really showed what he was capable of towards the end of the season last year. That's something that you don't want to see any regression. We talked about this last time. You don't want to see any regression at all. You want to see him just elevate at this point. And you need the key pieces. I think he has that guy right now. He's a great pass catcher, man. He has the frame. He has all of the works to be the number one guy, and I think he will. But he definitely needed some more help, and he got some more help in the draft too. Like I said, we'll get to those people. But man, there's no excuses at this point. There's no excuses at all. First year, he definitely had a lot of excuses. The guy went through like 2 offensive coordinators, 2 coaches. Yeah, people in and out, so it's a little inconsistent. Second year, I can kind of understand that as well. But coming into year 3, it seems like he has everything he needs. The first draft pick went to him. It was because of him. Mm-hmm. So when you have something like that happen, man, just you got to put up or shut up, man. I want to see 3,500, 4,000 yard passing season. Come out swinging this time, man. Don't wait till just the middle of the season. But I think I think he needed stability. That was the biggest thing, and he has stability now. And that's been what's wrong with the organization for a long time now. It's just no stability. They're running through coaches, offensive coordinators, and all of those things. And I think that's why you kept Evero, on defense. As some people had a problem with that. I'm getting into a whole different conversation right now. But I think when you have cohesion, that's a lot better. Cohesive group.
Right, I agree. And you led me into talking about Evero and the moves that they made in the draft on defense, drafting Nick Scorton, Princely Umame Yellen. You got, I believe, Cam Jackson from Florida, big run stuffer. And how with Evero, you got to make it work this year. This can't be no drop off whatsoever. I mean, we finished last in the league last year in total defense, and they made significant upgrades to make sure that the defense was better fit and equipped to where when your main guy goes down, that there's no drop off. Because I believe during the press conference at the end of the year last year, or right around during free agency when we're making all those defensive additions, that Dan Morgan clearly said that this is the problem that we had when our starters went down. We want to try to fill in those holes. Now, full disclosure, I was one of the ones that didn't think Evero was going to last after the season, given that Carolina's output was that bad. But for Dan Morgan to say, no, it was this. We're not going to have Evero be the fall guy. We're going to give you the pieces that you need to make sure that your defense is successful. And that speaks volumes to the kind of guy Dan Morgan is and how he believes in Evero and just getting them the dogs that he needs up front.
Well, yeah, sometimes you definitely got to give a person a chance. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he believed that Evero had, all the pieces that he needed in order to compete. And as a general manager, that's the one thing that you have to supply your team. You got to give them the pieces to be able to succeed, whether you like it or not. So Dan has done his job. He can wipe his hands clean now. Hey, I've given you the pieces now. Now it's your turn to take those pieces. What you do with those pieces is on you. If you can make it work, that's good. If you don't make it work this season, then, we got to reevaluate you in the off season, and he's probably going to be out the door because last year was rough, man. And there was a possibility that he was going to leave, was going to get the axe, but thankfully for him, he got another chance. There's no excuses. He got some solid pieces in his draft, man. Starting with Scorton, He played at Purdue. Obviously, his freshman year, obviously, your freshman year is not going to be too great. I think he had like maybe 20 tackles his freshman year, and then he had like 2 sacks. But his second year, he went nuclear. I'm saying he had like 50 tackles and 10 sacks. And then he ended up going to, another school. Who we got here? He ended up going to Ole Miss. And then after that, right there, he kind of dropped off a little bit. And I think he got up to about 285 pounds, dropped to about 257. So there was some speculation that his drop off was because he put on the weight. He's saying no. He's saying it's more because of the system. So he thinks that he can fit in well. He has a nasty spin move that he uses, man, and I think he's going to do some great things. And that's one of the reasons right there that Jadeveon Clowney was cut. He thinks that Dan Morgan, he brought in 2 guys, and it's funny because him and Dave Canales actually said the same thing. They said that they wasn't expecting him and Presley to be there when they were picking. So that's probably a big reason why he jumped from 57 to 51 in order to get Nick Gordon. He ran to that podium when he saw that he was still available, as well as Presley as well. So obviously those are 2 guys that they think they come in and make a big impact right away. You still got DJ Wonnum, but at the same time he's up there in age as well. So don't be surprised that at some point now next season that these guys are on the field at the same time. That's a big possibility right now. It's definitely a youth movement.
Yeah, definitely youth movement, and a lot of people had scored him as a first round grade, and to get him at a discounted rate, being in the second round, that will pay big if he's anything like he was his second year at Purdue. Now, I was curious, did you happen to see the live crash out when Michael Parsons was sick when we drafted Tech?
Oh yeah, man. It was a lot of people that were sick. I didn't see that one in particular right there, but it's a lot of people that definitely want to tap, man. Like who wouldn't? And I'm surprised that I thought there was a possibility that he would go before us. I think I think Jalen would have definitely been the pick if he would have went before us. But that like I said, a whole different conversation. I did not see what you're talking. I didn't see the crash out though, but
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
it was hilarious, and I think that's what led to the Cowboys making the trade with the Steelers yesterday and getting George Pickens.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely, man. You got to get some help, man. Cowboys, man. When is the last time they won a Super Bowl, man? It's been since my mom.
95 since the VHS was out.
Yeah, there you go. My mom was still wiping my nose at that point, man. So they need all the help that they can get right now, man. So they definitely do need George Pickens, man. Best of luck to them and whatever it is they do. But somebody like that, you definitely want to keep your best players happy per se.
Yeah,
Obviously, him crashing out like that, he wasn't too
yeah,
happy. So they had to make something happen.
yeah. I know one man that ain't crashing out right now. Sidebar: Josh Allen. He's winning right now. I mean, the Bills drafted well, and plus his fiance is in Sinners, which is killing the box office right now. So nice. I had to see it twice. Ryan Coogler definitely did his thing with that movie. If you ain't seen it, go see it.
Yeah, I haven't gone to see it yet, but I heard he did his big one, man. He's making history. I think like the first week it was like 90 million. I think they did. So that's a big number. But the thing that I was most impressed about was that deal that he worked out where
Mhm.
25 years from now, he can own all the intellectual property from that. So I don't think anything like that has ever been done before, not that I know of.
Mhm.
So, I mean, for him to come in as a black man, be able to make a deal like that and this, create generational wealth, him and Michael B. Jordan, man, they're almost like Scotty and Pippen, man. Same
Mhm.
type of thing, same type of situation, almost like, Spike Lee and Denzel Washington, they worked on several movies together. So they kind of got that same vibe going on right now. But as far as Sinners, man, I'm usually not into those type of movies, man, but I'm gonna make an effort to go see that one for sure.
Yeah, you definitely want to get your popcorn ready. Go see that. It's definitely, worth your price of admission. Now, the other talk in the draft was more of Shador's draft slide. He was projected to be first round pick. Guys who were rated lower than Shador end up getting drafted higher than he did. He later ended up going to the Cleveland Browns in, I believe, the fifth round. So, what was your take on Shador's draft slide and him going into Cleveland? And they also drafted Dylan Gabriel out of Oregon as well.
I personally just think it's a situation, and I'm gonna take my time with this. A lot of these players, we all know that a lot of these players, man, they have the power right now in college football. You know what I'm saying? They're getting those big contracts. They're getting millions of dollars, man. They're 18, 19, 20 years old. They're getting these $1 million contracts. And these teams have to listen to them. And I think that the NFL, they wanted to make a statement by what happened. That yeah, you may have been to college, whatever you may have said, you may have called the shots or whatnot. This is NFL. This is a big league. What we say goes. And he came in making all of these demands. And don't get me wrong, I love Shador. I think he's a great quarterback. I do think he's going to be very successful. But there's a certain way that you have to move when you're going to this next level. You're making demand team, or I'm going to be interviewing them just as much as they're going to interview me. Yes, that is something that he did say. He did say that he was going to be organizations just as much as they're going to interview him. So when you come in talking like this, and I think him and Brian Dabble from the New York Giants, they had a little situation where it was sour with them. So that kind of trickles down. So I definitely think it was a situation where everyone kind of caught wind of it. They kind of labeled him as the troublemaker per se. They kind of want to label certain people like that. So I think that's exactly what. I think even the Cleveland Browns. I think probably about a few years ago, I saw a tweet where Deion Sanders said that he would not play for the Cleveland Browns. So that's funny. That I'm just saying it's funny how it all kind of comes back around now, where the team that he didn't want his son to play originally, or he said he wouldn't play, drafted him. So I know that the day that he got drafted, there were several teams that he says do not call back. They took that restriction off, and that's when he got drafted by Cleveland Browns. So I just think it's a situation where the league wanted to create an example out of Shador. They thought he was the perfect candidate to that. For anybody that comes into the league from here on out, if they think they can pull that kind of stunt, they want to act like they're big shot or above the law or whatnot. They wanted to shut it down. So I think that's what happened with the situation. As far as him in Cleveland, I do think it's only a matter of time before he moves up there. There's nobody that's scaring him on that roster right now. Now let's just keep it real. Nick Foles, good guy. What is he, like 40 years old right now? Let's just keep it real. It's a young man's game. So he might start off as a starter or whatnot. That's going to quickly fade. You got another guy, Gabriel. He's solid. He's not better than Shador. Next question. So I do think that he's going to work his way up. He's going eventually going to start, and he's going to do some great things. But he needed to be humbled a little bit. That's no offense, and I'm saying all of this with love, man. No disrespect, no nothing from my end. But anybody that's coming forward in the league, man, if you think that you're coming to the National Football League, the Shield, and disrespect the Shield, or think you're above the Shield. You got another thing coming. That's not how it works, man. You got to play the game. It is what it is. He didn't play the game the right way. Him or his father. I love them both, but there's a certain way you got to be kind of political about it. You got to be diplomatic per se.
To quote Atlanta, the great Darius, you need to be more Martin, not too Malcolm.
Yeah, pretty much. And there's a time to be Malcolm, but there's a time to be Martin as well. And Martin changed his ways near the end of his life as well. But that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah,
but he did change. He didn't stay that way. He didn't stay, just being kind of laid back and reserved. He kind of popped out and showed people. Yeah. But yeah, definitely, man. Like I said, I definitely know that Shador, he's gonna do some great things, man. He's gonna move up that ladder pretty quickly, and he's gonna show people why he has the right to be in the league. And this actually puts a chip on his shoulder. Because I was actually one of the ones saying that I don't think he needed to go in the first round. Even though I think I thought he was going to go in the first round, he needs to go somewhere we can sit back and kind of develop a little bit. Then you put him in. So I kind of think that this is going to work out in a way that people they're going to be surprised with what they see the final, what he's able to accomplish.
Yeah, I really think that he's going to make noise in Cleveland. And also another person who was thankful that he didn't go to Cleveland, Travis Hunter, ended up getting drafted by the Jaguars.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, self-explanatory. Travis Hunter, man, he's kind of the reason why, I wouldn't have minded if we would have lost several games near the end of the year so we could get Travis. He's that type of generational player. I do think he's generational. He's really pounding the table to play both sides of the ball. He doesn't want to choose. It is what it is. So I'm sure Jacksonville, when they did draft him, they knew what came with that. This kid wants to play both sides of the ball. He thinks he can do it. It's possible there's some players in the league right now that play both sides, man. So why can't he do it? Put on a little bit more weight. He's the type that's going to come in at day one and make an impact right away. So you can't go wrong with that. Trevor Lawrence, man, he's got to make something happen. He's kind of been on and off, in his whole NFL career so far. So all eyes are on him at this point, man. You got the weapons now. You got one of the best in the league right now. I mean, I'm not going to say best in the league, but you got a nice little rookie coming in that could do some big things. So if he doesn't make it happen with him, man, that's another conversation right there. Trevor Lawrence.
Hmm. Yeah, so hopefully things will go great in Duval. If you know, you know. Look at that introductory press conference for the new coaches, Butcher Duval. Now, who was your sleeper pick for the whole draft? No matter the round, the team, the player, who was your sleeper pick the whole draft who will make
Yeah,
an
yeah,
instant
just like
impact
what
right
we
away?
saw. Yeah, what we talked about earlier, Jimmy Horn for us. Now, yeah, I'm being a little biased right now, but like I said, that's just somebody, definitely a favorite of the four-man rush. We've been talking about this for the last year now. That we kind of hope that he was going to drop to us, at some point. In our mock drafts that we did. If he was there, we picked him. As far as Jimmy Horn Jr. He's coming in. He's one of those guys I've been watching him the last few years. Obviously, I'm a big Deion Sanders fan, prime time. So whenever I got a chance to watch Colorado, he's one of those guys I tune in, and he was always making a big play. And for him to be doing that alongside Travis Hunter, a guy of that magnitude, in some games he had better games than Travis Hunter. So that says a lot for you right there. It's a nice little shifty guy, man, 4'4". So and I heard he runs faster on the field from what they're saying. So
Mhm.
he's the type of person then that he's going to contribute more so to special teams, but he could be another guy that can come in right away, man. And you plug him in, you can find him going. He might be going off for a 50, 60-yard touchdown. That's the
Mhm.
type of impact that he can make, man. So, like I said, I already said how terrible we were with special teams. Our last one was 2023. The last time we scored a touchdown. He's the type of person that can fix that right away. So
Instantly.
that is my sleeper pick right there. Yeah, Jimmy Horn, originally from Colorado. I can see him coming in and doing some great things. He will make the team, man. He's going to do some great things for it.
Yeah, I agree with you with Horn being the sleeper pick for the draft. Definitely a burner. I can see him possibly following the same career pathway of Steve Smith, where when Steve Smith first came in from Utah, paid his dues on special teams, then worked his way into the wide receiver lineup, and we all know what number 89 did while he was in that Carolina Blue, telling people to ice up, knocking people out in training camp, and just being that dog.
Yeah, it's funny that you actually bring Steve Smith up because he actually loved that pick. So it's funny that you brought that up, man. He wasn't crazy over Tet, which like I said, I don't want to go too hard on my boy right now, but he spoke very highly of Mingo, and we saw how that worked out. So it is what it is. I think Tet's going to be a great pick, but he loved Jimmy Horn. He thinks he's going to do some great things as well. But I think yeah, you definitely see some shadows of that right there that he can come in and start right away on special teams and work his way into the lineup at some point, man. Yeah, he won't be. Obviously, it's a full wide receiver room, but you never know what might happen. Somebody goes down to sprain an ankle or something like that, or something more serious can happen. So he can find himself in the late lineup right away. There were several players in the draft last year that actually contributed that were drafted. So that's something that can happen with him too.
All right, and let's go to basketball real quick. Then we'll get back to football. Oklahoma City Thunder bounced back out of their choking game one, 9-up, one apiece with the Denver Nuggets. The New York Knicks up 2-0, up 0-2, not 0-2, up 2-0 against the number one seed, not number one seed, number two seed, Boston Celtics. They took home court from Boston, coming back twice. And a lot of people kind of thinking, hey, it's the next time. And then also tonight we'll have game two with the Warriors and the Timberwolves. Now Steph Curry is out for a week with a hammy. So if I'm Minnesota and Ant-Man, I'll be looking to take advantage with Curry being out for a week.
That's not good right there, man. Steph Curry being out for a week right there, there's just a lot that can happen, man. And as we know, man, those tables do turn, and they can turn right here, man. You got somebody, Ant-Man. He's young, he's hungry, and he's the face of the league right now. He's been given that, so it's time right now. Just imagine how big it would be if he knocks off Steph Curry. How big that could be if he knocks off the Golden State Warriors, man, who's won several titles over the last several years, man. So that'd be a big feat for him right now. He's coming. He is coming, man. So I'm rooting for him. It is definitely something he wants to take advantage of, man. Because if Steph comes back and it's a tie series or something like that, you don't want to go 3-3 with him. And the series is 3-3. You saw what happened with Houston. They let it get to game 7, and Steph had to put that dagger in him right there. So situation where you got their best player out, kind of need to jump in, take advantage of that. As far as New York, they've been out of the spotlight at that level for too long, man. I'd actually love to see them go to the NBA Finals. So I think that the league needs that. But you can't count out Boston just yet, man. They're down 0-2. They could definitely come back. It's very possible they can come back and win 4-2. They just
Yeah,
run the table on them. So that's a possibility. They got a very talented team, Brown and Tatum. So you can't count those guys out just yet. They just lost by 1 point. I mean, obviously a loss is a loss, but at the end of the day, man, it's not like they're out here getting spanked. It came down
right,
to the last few seconds, man. So
right,
that's just what it is.
right. And then another surprise is the Indiana Pacers being up 2-0 over the number one seed Cleveland Cavaliers. But let's flash back to when they beat the Bucks and how Tyrese Halliburton's daddy got bold, felt froggy, and wanted to leap at Giannis. And Giannis had to let him know, don't let this polite face fool you. I can get down and squabble up if I need to.
Yeah, he messed around and found out, man. I ain't gonna say the bad word. I guess he messed around and found out,
He
man. That's
fooled
what happened in
around
that
and found
situation.
out.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly what happened, man. So, that's what the game needs, man. It needs a little bit of excitement. That's one thing I've been saying for the last man forever right now. The game is not what it used to be in the 90s, man. Everybody's trying to be friendly and friends with each other, buddying up, man. You got to bring some toughness back. You need some fist fights every once in a while, man. Just Michael Jordan and those guys, man. The Detroit Pistons back in the day, Boston Celtics, they were rough, man. So bring that style of play back, man. It's fun, man. Those views been going down a little bit in the NBA, man. If you want to get those views back up, man, y'all need to start knuckling up, man. Stop
Right.
being friendly all the time.
Yeah, and speaking of bringing back old school basketball, I'm sure you probably don't know that the NBA is coming home to NBC next year. So we're going to get John Tesh Round Ball Rock once again. If you're a 90s kid, you remember all too well the famous player intros by Bob Costas before the game, and pretty much Michael Jordan and the Bulls pretty much on every weekend.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and they got to do something. They got to shake it up a little bit. Like I said, those the viewership is down, man. So it could be a nice little nostalgia moment right there. Maybe some people that have kind of gotten away from the game for a little while. If they make a few changes, maybe they'll start tuning in the game. But they got to do something different, man. They got to make it work. You don't want to
Mm,
mess around and have the WNBA catch with them or something like that, man.
right.
Caitlin Clark, man, she blinger, man. You don't want that to happen, man. But
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
we'll
man.
see.
Yeah, we'll see. And I like the trajectory, where the W is going. And Caitlin Clark, after a great rookie year, I think she's going to be poised to really have a breakout sophomore season. And the W, I think in a few years, give it time, it'll probably surpass baseball, in my opinion. Because if you look at baseball, baseball is almost like hockey, where it's a niche sport. It's only going to appeal to certain regions of the country, pretty much Northeast, Midwest, West Coast, but it's not really the big national pastime like it once was because as we know, baseball is so expensive where you're gonna get priced out to play because it's gonna cost a lot for bats, balls, gloves, cleats, and I believe that's not really that one big face that can be the face for baseball to at least bring it back into the dominant view of the American zeitgeist. Because when you look at most of your major superstars in baseball, a lot of them, like the NBA currently, has an international flair. And as we see with the NBA, nobody has won the league MVP that was US born since Harden won it. And more than likely, I think they're going to give it to SGA this year from OKC, of course, with him being from Canada. So that'll be another probably be another international winner for the NBA MVP on his belt if they give it to SGA this year.
Yeah, and that's actually something that I'm trying to do. I'm actually, trying to fix, man. Me and my homeboy, we are going to come up with something really soon, man, because it is expensive for a lot of these sports, whether it's golf, whether it's soccer, whether it's baseball. These are expensive sports, man. And if you want to be competitive in these sports, man, you got to have them in these camps. You got to do AAU. You got to do all these different things. It's year round. It's almost like a business nowadays, man. It's not like it was back in the day, man, where it's just enough where you go to the park for a few hours and play basketball and hone your skills that way during the summertime. These kids are traveling across the country year round, man. They're still sleeping in hotels, man. They playing in these tournaments. So we're going to come up with a solution for that, where these kids, man, if they have the passion to play and they want to play golf or they want to play baseball, we're going to see to it, man. They're not going to have to worry about paying for it. We're going to
Right.
take care of that. As soon as I put everything together with that, me and my business partner, I'll definitely let you know.
For
We're
sure.
looking to bring that back right now, man, to the states, man. We need some recognition, man. Baseball is a beautiful sport, but like you said, it's become expensive. Just some of those kids in the hood, man, they're just not able. It's not attainable for them. And we
Mm.
want to get back to that point where they're able to play and make millions of dollars because there's a lot of money to be made in these
Yes, it
sports,
is.
especially baseball.
Yes, it is. Baseball got that long money. If you can pitch,
Generational wealth.
if you can hit, you can make you some paper.
Yes, you can. Generational type money, man. I'm talking about 200, $300 million contracts. So if I would
Mm.
have known that at that age, man, I was focused on football or whatnot, man. I wish I would have been more focused on baseball. The kind
Yeah,
of kind of contracts they get. It's crazy.
yeah,
Soccer
yeah.
is just that's a different type of money right there too. Let's not even get into soccer.
Mm.
That's great. You look at Lionel Messi and all these other guys where they're getting paid. Once they're done, man, their whole generation is gonna be taken care of. That
Right.
sports is man, it's there, man. Even boxing, man, he's talk about this all day.
Yeah, yeah, man. And speaking with kids playing AAU and not really doing kind of like how when we were kids, you'll go to a park or somebody's house to play pickup, to where you're specializing in one sport year round. You don't really see a lot of kids now in high school playing all the sports, where when you're playing one sport year round, a lot of the doctors, if they're coming in getting work done, you got a lot of tread on your tires because you're playing this year round, but your body is like a 30, 40-year old. So do you think that's the trade-off with kids specializing in one sport year round as opposed to playing all the sports all through the different seasons?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think it is, man. A lot of these kids, man, they've been playing since they, 8, 9 years old. Some of them before that, man. Some of these kids, man, they come out the womb with a ball in their hand. You know what I'm saying? You look at these athletes right here. Look at somebody like the Ball family. You can't help but think that, yeah, that definitely does, stress the muscles. And by the time and not just physically, but mentally as well, you've been playing the sport for so long that by the time you're 25, 26 years old, you're already burnt out. Your family, just, as far as your body, your mental, you're already burned out at that point and you kind of want nothing else to do with it, man. So it definitely has not. It's not to the point where you want to force it on your children or whatnot, but it's something they want to do. That's fine. But man,
Right.
I mean, I don't know. It's not one solution to it, man, but it's a lot of things that can be done differently for sure. And
Yeah.
like I said, I'm definitely gonna do my part in it as well, man. Man, but at the same time, you want to have a backup plan as well. If this doesn't work out, man, what do you have planned next?
Right.
You can be an agent. There's so many other different things that you can do. It doesn't just have to be sports. So I think that's a whole nother conversation as well. That once that body starts breaking down, what else are you going to have? You look at somebody like Xavier Leggett, man. He's already putting his name out there as far as just being in the media or whatnot. So what do you think's going to happen when he's done playing football? He already got the plug with the Kentucky Derby. I can guarantee you they'll be bringing him back. I guarantee you that.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of his type of personality that he has, and he's already setting that up. Greg Olsen, man. You look at somebody like that who came from the Panthers as well, played with us for a little while. As soon as he was done playing, he went right there into the media world, and in my opinion, it's become one of the best media personalities in the football world.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a whole different conversation than I'm bringing up right now as far as post football, post sports in general. Tom Brady, as great as he was, man, he could be sitting on the island right now, chilling just year round on his boat with his lady or whatnot. But
Mm-hmm.
he's in the booth, so he already had that planned out. Kobe Bryant, God bless his soul, man.
Mm-hmm.
He was getting ready for his second win as well. He was coming out with short films and things of this nature. So, like I said, I know I'm kind of going off track right now, but that's the one thing that I want to really speak to these kids about, man, is it's a short shelf life, but there is a shelf life with sports, man.
Yeah.
By the time, a lot of them, you'll be lucky to play college sports. If
Yeah.
you play college, man, that's a blessing right there, man. But to go pro, that's almost the equivalent to hitting the lottery. That's just a whole different situation right there. So if you get in there, then you get in the league, man. It's maybe you might get 1 to 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
and then you got to move on to something else. I've seen some people make it to the league. They made it to the mountaintop, but they
Mm-hmm.
only lasted for about 1 to 3 years, and then they had to move on to something else, man. So make sure that early on you're teaching your kids. Okay, you get to league or you want to play football, basketball, soccer. That's fine. But what is your backup plan? What is your plan B? What is your plan C? What is your plan D? Don't just have one backup plan. Have
Mm-hmm.
several. So that way
Yeah.
that when you get to that point, man, okay, I got injured right here, or I'm just burned out mentally. I can be a sports agent, or I can be a coach, or I can get into the media world. There's so many different things. I can be a strength and conditioning coach. There's so many different things in the sports world that if you have a love and a passion for sports, there's a place for you. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that that the parents and the elderly, they got to do a better job of explaining that to them.
Yeah.
Everybody's not going to make it to the NFL. Everybody's not going to make it to the NBA or MLS or whatever the case may be. So early
Mm,
on, man, about as early as 9 or 10 years old, you couldn't tell me that I wasn't going to play in the NFL when I was 8 or 9 years old. You couldn't tell me that. My parents, they let me live the dream for a little bit. A
mm,
lot of people in the hood, they let their kids live that dream.
mm.
Oh, I'm going to the NBA, I'm going to NFL. Yeah, yeah, you can do anything you put your mind to. Yeah, that's true. But be realistic as well, man.
Right.
You don't want them to be stuck, 15, 16. They still got it. That's late in the game at that point. 15,
Yeah.
16, 14. Teach
Mm.
them early on.
Yeah. So you're saying you a backyard football recess football Hall of Fame legend out on these
Yeah,
elementary schoolyards, bro, having
yeah,
all the
yeah. The
field day
elementary.
ribbons.
Yeah, yeah, man. I played B team and I played 1 year of varsity football, and I wish I would have just, spent time doing something else, man, learning about music or something or, playing an instrument.
Mm,
What did I get out of that 1 year playing varsity? Yeah, I had, memories with my friends or whatnot, but
right.
like I said, it's a shelf life. That's over
Right.
with, man. That's over with at 17, 18 years old. That's over with. I graduated when I was 16. That was the
Uh,
end of, I did a little bit of boxing, martial arts after that or whatnot.
mm,
There's a little bit of a longer shelf life with that, man, but
uh,
football and basketball and whatnot, man, at
right.
16, 17, if you're not playing at college, man, that's
Mm.
that's it, bro.
Yeah, I mean, you peaked in high school. Don't be like Uncle Rico and Al Bundy, reliving your glory years at a local
Man.
diner. Talk about back in 1990 when I beat so and so for the state title, and then all the locals got around. You don't want to be that guy. Don't be that guy.
No.
Stop it.
There's a lot
Stop
of
it.
Uncle Ricos out there, man. They reliving their high school years, and that's fine, man. But that was 15 years ago, man. That's 15 years ago, bro. Let it go, man. You played at Clemson. You did this, man. You was an All American and whatnot, bro. What are you doing now? What are
Mm,
you doing now as an adult, 40, 50 years
mm,
old, man?
mm.
You know what I'm saying? That's cool, man. But that's over with, man. These kids laughing at you, man. You reliving in your glory days, man. They
Yeah,
don't want to
yeah,
hear about that. What you
yeah,
doing right now, bro? How many businesses you own? How many stocks you own? What you doing
yeah.
in the community? That's what it's all about, man. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, yeah. Don't be that guy that be at the club a little bit too long. You still got your high school
Oh,
Letterman
man.
jacket, wearing your championship ring from what year. Don't do that. It's cool to wear it when it's on a special occasion celebrating the anniversary of your team's win, but not every Friday night you're wearing the ring and wearing the jacket and say, y'all gonna win one now. We ain't beat this team since so and so. Y'all gonna be the first. Don't do that. Don't play
Don't do
yourself.
that.
Please
Don't
don't.
do that, man. I'm 36 years old. My clubbing days is over with. I just talked about that the other day. My clubbing days is over with. I did it for about 10 years straight, man, for about 32 years old to 32, man. So, and I'm seeing people in there, and that was really the main objective why I quit, man. I was seeing 40-year-old, 50-year-olds in the club still, man. I'm seeing the same people out there every weekend,
No,
man. You still doing that.
no, no.
You
You
should be
can't be doing that.
taking trips out of the country, man, going to London, going to Cabo, going to Mexico. You should be doing different things with yourself, man. You still in the club every weekend, man, doing the same things, man. Expand
Nah.
your mind, man. And
Yeah,
that's what I want to tell these kids right now, man. Do something different with yourself. Don't be
yeah,
that. Don't be that old man. Don't be the 35, 36 still in the club, man. Move on. Move on to something else.
yeah. Go pro and something else other than sports. Thank you, NCAA.
Amen.
Thank you, NCAA, for that. Now back to the Panthers and their draft moves. Overall, what grade would you give the Panthers for this draft?
EFF got it right. It was an A plus. Like I said, man, it's just really recent memory. That's the best draft that I've ever seen from them. Every pick, I could go down all the picks. Every pick made sense. And when every pick makes sense, and you feel that these people can make an immediate impact somehow, some way, whether it be on offense, whether it be on defense, whether it be special teams, you have no choice but to give it an A plus, an A plus. So right there, obviously Arizona Cardinals, they did a great job. Dallas Cowboys, I think we fit right into that group. You got some help for Bryce. You got two edges right there that are going to be attacking that quarterback. One of them got 10 sacks, man, just a few years ago. So, man, it didn't go wrong at any angle. Even the running back, like I said, Etienne that we bought in, he's going to fit in somehow, some way. Even the tight end, where we felt comfortable enough not taking Tyler Warren. Let's talk about that. No,
Mm-hmm.
so that's another great pick right there. Obviously Tremble, Mitchell Evans, he comes from Notre Dame. I know that Tremble, he came from Notre Dame as well.
Mm-hmm.
So his numbers didn't really stand out. He didn't get big numbers, but he got about 400 receiving yards or whatnot, 3 touchdowns. So it's not anything mind blowing, but I actually think that he's more versatile than Tremble. You know, I'm gonna put that out there on the table, man. As far as a run blocker or whatnot, so yeah, I can see him making an immediate impact, man. He's about 6'4", 6'5", 260. So he's got a big frame. You get down in that red zone, and you'd be a person making a lot of touchdown passes right there, a lot of touchdown catches, man, for sure. So
Mhm.
I'm very impressed with the draft. Every pick made sense, man. Every single pick, A
Right.
plus.
Yeah, I agree. Dan knocked out the park, and then it was announced after we did all the picks in the draft that Icky's fifth year option got picked up. So, what's your take on Dan picking up Icky's fifth year option?
I think he did the right thing, man. I think it's the simple fact that you're bringing back guys, man. You're having this be a cohesive group. So Icky, man, he's a veteran. He's gonna come in. He knows what to do. He knows how to do it. He's definitely somebody that you had to bring back, man. If you let him go, man, it could have been some problems. As far as the draft goes, there, I mean, I'm being a little picky at this point, man. Maybe the cornerback position. You got J.C. Horn, who I think is one of the top cornerbacks in the league. But he's only played like maybe half of the games that he's been in the league. So obviously he had a great campaign last year. He still has yet to play a full season. I'm talking about every game. He's yet to do that. I think last year he played like 15 games. So
Mm,
he's done better. But they signed re-signed Mike Jackson or whatnot. That's obviously nice, but I would not have been disappointed if they would have signed a cornerback. So that's one
yeah.
position right there. But I'm nitpicking at this point. I still think it was an excellent draft. But if I had to say there's one thing that they probably could have done, get another cornerback. But that's fine. We'll figure that out when we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But outside of that, man, just an outstanding draft, bro.
Right. And T Mac went on the socials and said he's looking forward to mossing JC in practice. And then, of course, JC responded back saying seatbelts come in all sizes.
Be careful what you wish for, young man. You come in the league talking heavy like that, man. You get humbled very quickly, man. So he's talented at all, man. But J.C. Horn, man, he's seasoned at this point. He knows what he's doing. He's one of the top cornerbacks in the league. So I could see them going back and forth in practice, man. They definitely gonna go back and forth, man. He's gonna get his licks. JC's gonna get his licks, man. So iron sharpens iron. That's what they say. And so it's a beautiful thing that he wants that tough challenge right away. He doesn't want to be pacified. So
Mhm.
that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. The one-on-ones between JC and T-Mac buckle up. But sadly, the fans won't be able to see it because Bank of America is undergoing stadium renovations for the upgrades. So no fans will be allowed at training camp for this season and 2026. So your take on that and just how for the next 2 years fans won't be able to see training camp because of all the renovations that be going on at BOA.
Think this is a situation that's it's unfortunate. I hate that it had to come to this, but this goes beyond fans, man. Even other content creators, man. This is a time where they make most of their money, the lion's share of their money. A lot of them have been talking about that, where they go out there, they get filmed, they take film of these practice, and they post it on their internet, on their social medias, and this is how they make their income. So they're taking food out of these kids' families, man, out of the kids' mouths. Man. That's just what they do. It's their job. So um, very disappointed. I was definitely going to make the effort. This was going to be the 1 year that I was able to make it. I've been working like crazy, man, but this is the 1 year that I was going to be able to make it. And as soon as I said that I was going to go, of course, the news had to come out that they're canceling it. They're not going to have it this year, and they're not going to have it next year. So it is what it is. It's part of the business, but hopefully something beautiful comes from it. But it's disappointing for the time being, man. I feel sorry for the content creators out there that are going to miss out on it. The fans, of course, the fans want to go out there. For a lot of them, they don't go to the game, so this is the one time for them to see it up close and personal. These players and the coaches or whatnot. So everyone's kind of affected by it right now.
Right. Yeah, and then we're a little bit less than a week away from the NFL schedule release. And what I've been liking the past couple of years is that individual teams been doing their own schedule releases. With the Chargers doing the anime style releases, and other teams doing parodies of different things, and it just shows the personalities of the team. So I'm hoping, at least for the Panthers schedule release, at least do some type of rendition of Raise Up or something to where show Carolina pride or do something. But I'm looking forward to seeing what the Panthers have in store when they do the schedule release for the team, seeing what they come with. Now, even though they're the ops, I would really love to see that team down 85 do a ops themed version of Welcome to Atlanta. That'd be so fire. I mean, I won't hate it. I hate the Falcons, but just think about it. If they did a team remix version of Welcome to Atlanta, you know everybody else outside of the division and in the division probably will be bumping that. Especially if you have like JD and Luda on it and Tip on it.
Yeah, man. I think they should do that, man. But I think Carolina, man, they need to get the baby involved, man. So obviously, there's a lot of history with Atlanta. There are a lot of things they can do. They can get Luda, they can get Ti, whoever else, man. They got so many different legends that they can pair up with that, man. But Carolina needs to focus on doing some of that too. We got some superstars in North Carolina too.
Yeah. Yeah, we got our own thing in the Carolina, so we ain't no slouches either. Now, one last thing before I get you on out of here. Prediction for the upcoming season win loss total. Would you say over seven, under seven?
I usually do not do it this early. I usually wait. I usually wait till I start seeing some things from training camp or whatnot. I think with there's no one really in the division that scares me like that. I think the best team right now on paper is probably Tampa Bay, but even they don't really scare me like that. I don't think they're too much to fear. Obviously, New Orleans, they got their own set of problems. Atlanta, they made some nice little adjustments in this offseason, but they don't really scare me like that either. They basically have a rookie quarterback right now in their team right now, so they got to figure some things out. Yeah, they had a decent draft or whatnot, but they're not all the way there. I do think this is the year that they crossed that seven win mark. We've been here 4 or 5 wins. This obviously had a 2-win season. They've been terrible. So I do think that's the year, man. This is definitely a year. And I look at what last year, and I'm gonna tell you why I think that we'll go above 7 is because obviously we had 3 really close games. Really close game. I think there might have been 6 close games too. So I think this is the year where they kind of figure things out. They kind of learn how to win. They're a cohesive group. They've been playing together for that season as far as the coaching staff and the players. So I could see them being over 7. I'm not sure what it is. It could be 8. It could be 9. I don't know. But there's going to be some games that we win that we're not supposed to win either. So you got to keep that in mind. Who would have had us going toe-to-toe with Kansas City last year or the eventual Super Bowl champions, Philadelphia Eagles? We went toe-to-toe with those guys. And it came down to the last minutes before they actually beat us. So
right.
I think this is going to be the year where they figure it out. Yeah, that's not really how you measure a team that's improved. Is the games that they didn't win the previous season, they win the next season. And even a few games that we did win last season, there were some games that the previous season before that they wouldn't have won. So I think I definitely think there's going to be some elevation. And I'm going to go above 7. I usually don't do this early, man, but this is a special occasion, special platform. So I'll take more over 7 wins.
I'm going to take the over, and I'm also going to throw in a possible wild card spot. Now, if you are a non-Panthers fan, I'm going to tell you right now, buy Panther stock. Buy low, buy low, buy low, get in on the ground floor, because I think we're probably going to have the trajectory like the Lions did before they broke out in 22 when they made their run to the conference title game. It's going to be like the 21 season with the Lions with us this season, where we're going to put people on notice and people are going to say, oh, they got something brewing down in Carolina. Must be something in the barbecue, must be something in the cheer wine, must be something in the sun drop, must be something in the pack of nabs. Either way, we're going to do something to put the league on notice and say, we coming. And Bryce is really going to show that he one of the ones this year.
Yeah, I think it definitely can be that type of season. I've already said, multiple times what I feel. Now, I feel like if Bryce, elevates to that level, it could be a very quick turnaround. All you need is a solid quarterback to have a quick turnaround. You look at the teams that have had quick turnarounds. They did it because there was great quarterback play, or he was solid enough, man, where the defense did their job. They was right there in the mix, man. So, obviously, I think that if Bryce does continue to elevate, that it could be a very, very quick turnaround. You can mess around and they could be the next Detroit Lions, man. And they could find themselves deep in the playoffs or actually get there. Obviously, for us, a wild card would be good for us. The fan base needs it at this point, man. We've been bad for a very, very long time. So the fan base is definitely looking for us to improve, man. Give them something to be excited about, man.
Yeah,
Charlotte is a beautiful place, man. It's a lot to do in Charlotte. We saw how electric the city was in 2015. We want to feel that again.
Mm.
So a lot of our fans getting old. They've been around for a long time. Let them, give us something to be excited about and cheer about.
Yeah, and I mean, we never had back-to-back winning seasons in franchise history. So, I think that's going to be coming, which is surprising enough. We never had back-to-back winning seasons since the team was established in '95. We've been through it since the Kerry Collins, Tim Biakamatuka, Wesley Walls era, then of course Jake, Stephen Davis, Smitty, Ricky Prohl, that Super Bowl run with Dan Helm in the middle, then the 2015 season, which this year is the 10th year anniversary of that season with Cam winning MVP and us going to Super Bowl 50. And I really think it's going to be an exciting time to be a Panthers fan, and we're going to hear Sweet Caroline a little bit more after wins this year.
I definitely think so. No, now obviously Cam, obviously their relationship has been restored. That was in the news, man, not too long ago, man. So that'd be a beautiful thing right there. Obviously they had their problems over the last few years or whatnot, but they got things situated with that, and that's beautiful. So definitely, like I said, it's a great fan base, man. You got some passionate fans about it. There's been some jokes over the years. Oh man, the Carolina doesn't have any hardcore fans. Well, yeah, they do. I guarantee you they do. And they showed you out. They showed you that in 2015. So uh, there's been a lot of them that have come and have gone since then. But the real ones are still here, man. We've been there through the rough seasons, man. So if you still with us right now, man, get ready to celebrate, man, and be proud of yourself. Give yourself a pat on the back, man. You stuck around through the ugliness, and I think there's nowhere to go up but now. Nowhere to go but up.
Mm-hmm. Dan, Dave, and Brent, they're definitely filling the fridge. We're gonna be eating good for a good minute. But before we go, any shouts you want to give and plug your socials, bro?
Oh man, yeah, definitely not. You can follow me on social media at Canardo Greg James. You can follow me on Facebook, Canardo Greg James, or follow me on Instagram, Canardo as well. Four Man Rush. Obviously, man, you want definitely want to plug us in right there, Four Man Rush. Right there. Find us on Instagram, on Facebook, man. Kevin Avery, Lawrence, man, Will, all those guys, man, Monty, definitely follow them as well. Jadarius, follow him as well, man. Very sharp young man. So yeah, we're gonna be around, man. We've been talking a lot about the Panthers, man. Leading up to the season. Man, yeah. Hope maybe we'll see each other at a game or something like that, man. Don't be afraid to come up to me. Let's chop it up and eat a hot dog or something. I don't know, man. I'm vegetarian. What am I talking about? But man, have a beer maybe.
All right, and there you have it. You can catch this interview wherever you stream podcasts and on the official YouTube channel at youtube.com/beyond the album cover. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big thank you to my bro, Greg James, for coming on to the podcast. Greg, thank you for coming on. You're welcome back anytime, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, man. See you next
Yes,
time.
yes, sir.